Oh, I'm gonna start recording. So John, I apologize. Can you
Sure,
pick it from the
Yeah.
top so we look official?
you bet. Hey, let's call this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, December 14th. It's 5:30. We're on a Zoom call for our Parks, Recreation and Forestry Committee. Thanks everyone for joining. I know the weather stinks, but so it's kind of nice to have this option. Let's move right on to number two. Item number 2 is approval of minutes from October 12th, 2022. Can I entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jane,
I'll second.
second by Ben. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 3 is it's time to report any conflicts of interest. Anybody have anything to report for conflict of interest according to today's agenda?
John, I think we have to go back and approve the November 9th meeting minutes as well.
Oh, yep, there's 2 there.
I'm sorry, then we'll make a separate motion to do that. It's not typical. That's right. We didn't have minutes last meeting. So I would entertain a motion to approve the November 9th, 2022 minutes as well.
I'll make a motion to approve November 9th.
Okay, Jane, and then I saw Ally as a second. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Now is the time to report any conflicts of interest. Okay, we're going to move right on to public comment. There's nobody from the public here today on our Zoom meeting. We are recording the meeting, so we're going to move on to item 5, which is really kind of a pressing item and why we wanted to meet via Zoom for sure tonight. So I'm going to let Justin take this away regarding Wenzel restrooms.
All right, can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
We've been working with Bozen on design of the restrooms. Oh, they just closed school for tomorrow. I got a message. For all you families out there. We've been working with Bozen on restroom design. If you guys remember, we picked the location on the north side, just north of the pergola. You should see on my screen the existing arborvitae, he calls it, but it's a pergola, and then the general location of what the restroom structure would be. Bozen has been working with an architect out of La Crosse that they work with frequently. Their cost estimating is coming in much higher than what we anticipated. So we have a couple of design options we want to weigh in with the committee itself and kind of get direction, or at least support the direction we're heading. So the people that are helping design this right now are Nikki, Ben, and I. And right now we have option A, which is 4 heated restrooms with a large storage facility and utility. And it's the budget at $354,900. And if you move down to option B, which is primarily the same design, except it's not heated, so it would not be usable pretty much after November 1st and until May 1st. And that budget is $250,000, which is within our budget. And then if we move down again, we have option C, which is kind of a rudimentary drawing. It looks like I drew that or something, but they didn't have time to draw it up. But it would be the 2 heated restrooms with a smaller storage room for a budget of $241,974. That is within our budget. Or 3 heated restrooms at $266,212. So to kind of sum things up all together, we have one option, which is to go over budget by almost $100,000 and try to figure out where alternative funding will come through. We have not any alternative funding option selected or in mind, so we'd have to go back to the council and ask them for that money, or go back to other donors who may have donated in the past, or do something else, or go to 4 unheated restrooms, or do 2 heated restrooms or 3 heated restrooms. So we're kind of looking for direction from the committee so we can continue the design process. We'd like to get this designed and out to bid by the first quarter of 2023, ideally by January. Many contractors are filling up rather quickly for these types of projects. So the sooner we get out, the better. So I think I pretty much hit it. Nikki as well as Ben are on the line if they want to add anything I missed.
No, I think you got it right on, Justin.
Nikki,
Yep, I
anything?
agree.
Okay,
Those are our options.
committee,
Yeah, question, so the top option A, it's listed with a large storage utility. And I'm missing, like, where's the bathroom? I see janitor storage, I'm missing, where's the bathroom?
bathrooms are kind of the same, upper left, upper right, bottom right. They're just kind of,
And, oh, the middle is the large, okay, got you, okay. Is there, and then option B has the 4 unheated with a small storage room. Why, I mean, can we get away, I mean, would it save money to do 4 heated restrooms with a small storage utility room? Or is that room needed because of the utility for the heat? That's kind of,
the heated rooms will take up more space because they have to put more product down. Insulation essentially on the sidewalls, where the unheated does not require much, if any, insulation at all on any of the walls. As for John, I think the real question is what's the significance of that janitor utility room getting bigger or smaller? I can't answer that right now. I didn't know it was bigger or smaller, and so I just read it. We just assumed we have 4 heated or 4 unheated, and unheated is 249, heated is 354. I would assume that utility closet would be the same size, but I would have to ask Bozen why that is bigger or smaller.
Well, I know when we went into the design initially, we asked for a little bit bigger of a storage area, just to put some of Nikki event kind of stuff in there, besides just your basic cleaning supplies. So that might be a reference to it too. It would just be asked for it to be a little bit bigger to put, you know, the bags games in there and fire pits and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so our goal of the overall project is to have flushable restrooms for year-round use, as well as some storage capability for activities that Nikki does down there. Like Ben said, the boards, the speakers, miscellaneous grills, heaters, you name it. There's a number of items that have to be shipped or moved off-site, on-site each week. So having them on-site would be so much easier for Nikki. And it helps with logistics. So if there's rain or poor weather, she doesn't have to coordinate with our park guys on all of that.
Can I ask how many porta pots are there right now? Or were there in the summer?
We normally have 2, one regular and then a handicap.
Okay, so why 4?
We didn't preconceive say we wanted 4. I think they just speculated 4 and they came up with 4. Probably just because of its design of being a rectangle, where 3 didn't quite fit into the design. I guess we never really asked, why'd you pick 4 or 3? We were gonna go with actually a women's, a men's, and a family, but it was so costly with that design that they kind of notched it right away.
Natasha?
Can you move the screen for option C and D? I have to get my glasses. Okay, so I'm looking at the 2 heated or the 3 heated, and they both have this storage. Looks like 5 feet across and 9 feet deep. I mean, if I had to choose between what I think is important down there, I would say that heated is more important than 4, just because people are going to be ice skating down there and they're going to have kids. I don't know if 3 is more important than 2, but I would say C or D is probably a better option.
Yeah, I think that incremental price difference, $25,000 more to grab a 3rd stall.
Mhm.
You know, to me, I certainly push for that. That was where we're going.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I think like, I mean, option A would be really nice, but I don't think that there's gonna be an appetite from the council to fund that, right? And I don't think, I mean, Justin, I mean, any idea where you would get $100,000? You know,
No, I would have to be creative and unfortunate. We don't, you don't have time. So to go out to bid, knowing you're $100,000 short from the get-go, and then come back $100,000 short and then ask for all this money, it doesn't work well with a project. These contractors aren't gonna be just letting you wait around. So you have to go around and ask, they have to get good boards. Natasha, maybe you can speak on the palette of the council for coming in.
Oof. Oof. I mean, it's a little easier because it would probably be under the long-term debt. So that, I mean, it wouldn't be coming, I assume it wouldn't be coming out of the general fund, but I would say at the moment, the sort of the feeling on the council is things are tight. So it wouldn't, for sure, wouldn't come out of general fund, but so much stuff gets put on long-term debt, and part of that is because we can tax people on our debt. It's different than our property taxes. So it just makes it sometimes easier to borrow, whereas property taxes are set. Hey, I have another question. For the option D with the 3, are any of those big enough for handicap accessible, or are they all handicap accessible?
They would
How does that
all-
work?
They would all have to be handicap accessible.
Okay, okay.
hey, so can I just ask, staff, Nikki, I'll ask Nikki, you're the coordinator there, right? What do you think about option D?
I think that between 2 and 3 is not going to make a huge difference. With those options, the storage shrinks significantly. And that would be an issue with just having to find a different space to, sorry. Got a dachshund that wants to join this. But I also think that heated versus non-heated is what's really
Yeah,
I think that if we're going to put these in, getting heated will be our main priority versus. Sorry.
yeah.
Does that answer
Nikki,
your question, John?
I think so. I mean, the point of this, the goal of this was bathrooms, heated bathrooms, right?
Yeah.
Then we started talking about storage, and it's unfortunate that we're probably not going to get as much storage as what Nikki needs to hold the events down there. And we're just going to have to deal with that in the future in a different way. Because I just think the $100,000 is, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there's a great appetite for that right now, unfortunately. Yeah, Natasha.
so Justin, do you remember a while ago, you were thinking of getting a shed for storage? What was the cost of that? It never got in the CIP, but you were thinking of it.
Yeah, we were gonna find alternative funds for it. We never put it in a CIP. I don't know, Nikki, do you remember 12,000?
It was around 12,000, I would say, between 10 and 12,000, depending on size.
And that was just a shed, not the concrete pad.
Correct. We only priced out the shed.
You're probably about $20,000.
Yeah, with
20.
this option, this option is heated, it's got lights, it's got water, where a shed's just literally a shed. There's nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just throwing this out as an idea. I'm not even saying if I agree or not. I'm just kind of talking. If option D, instead of 3 heated restrooms, it was sort of between C and D, where it was 2 heated restrooms, but the storage facility was bigger, would that cost-wise make sense?
So what I think what we would do is we would go back and make sure we have 2 heated restrooms that are ADA compliant, as well as accessible from the plaza itself, and then maximize that storage unit area for Nikki's use. And I don't know what the exact size that will be, but the restrooms will pretty much stay the same, but the space in between will be maximized.
Mhm.
And as far as size with usage of the bathrooms, obviously it would be nice to have 4, mostly when we have multiple people, during like our concert series and bigger events. But I do feel on a day-to-day usage, 2 would be sufficient. I mean, this is an upgrade from what we have currently. So I don't think anybody could argue that 2 wouldn't be enough. But as we continue to grow, that's the only thing, we may have to bring in porta johns, I'm sure, for our bigger events, like when we partner with the chamber for Dairy Fest and Hub City Days with Main Street. So I personally
think-
don't think that 2 would be an issue versus 3 or 4.
I think you're gonna need, even with 4 bathrooms, you would need to bring extra porta potties in for those large events, right?
We normally bring in around
yeah.
between 6 and 10.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but those are flushable. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of the difference is the porta johns are not, which is why we bring in so many, where this is actually,
Hmm.
flushable toilets. That makes it a difference too.
Any other questions?
I guess
Discussion?
my only question is, with C and D, the layout being so rectangular, I don't know, is there a way to better utilize the space? Like option B is more, of a wide rectangle, so I think you could get a lot more space out of that if it were still within the cost-effective, range, being that option B is $249 unheated. If like 3 of those were, or 2 of those were to be heated, and then maybe have a decent amount of storage, what that would look like.
I'm not sure the design on that last one, how much thought went into it. The plumbing itself will be a challenge because the plumbing now will be in the wall. And then that plumbing will have to either go underground or above the ceiling. And so will heat, where before we could probably put a heating unit in that chase and then heat both sides or something like that. So we'd have to do some more actual architecture and engineering of option D. Option C is pretty self-explanatory, but option D, I'm not sure how that actually lays out.
The only question I got for you, Justin, is how much extra money do you think you can realistically get? I mean, if we're capped at 250, I think we already know the answer.
I'm sure we can get some money, but best case, maybe 50,000 from various groups or partners, but I'd have to make that ask. And I'd have to have a reason, an actual reason why. I can have preliminary conversations, but I really can't go out and like ask some of those sponsors and say, hey, will you give me another 20,000 or 10,000 for these restrooms? And they'll say, well, you're not even out to bid. You have no idea what that cost is. So I have to have preliminary conversations and speculate that we might be over.
All right. Any other thoughts? It's a conundrum. Can you go back up to the top, option A one more time, please? So the fact of the matter is that's just a much larger structure than if you go back down, correct? I mean, I'm talking end to end. See, so option C, I don't really see.
Yeah, option C is not even close to scale or anything, so it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it'll be maybe half the size is option B.
Mhm. Okay.
As
I
for
mean-
option C or option A, I don't think we would probably take that direction based on the architecture of the curvature of the walls and the angles. We would probably try to square it off to simplify architecture and costs. This rectangular option in B is probably less expensive than option A. So we'd probably simplify it, but
It's so pretty though, the curve.
It is.
Yeah,
Architects love to design things that are pretty. Just expensive.
Yeah,
I think what Ben, stated before, when he said, I mean, realistically, if we look at this, I mean, kind of think our only option is C, right? I mean, that's the one that comes into budget. And it gives us heated restrooms.
Pay the extra 10K or $9,000, expand the size of your storage unit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
try to maximize that because not only is it an option A and B, that size is probably 20 feet. And now it's down to 10, so a 5 by 20 to 5 by 10, so it's half the size.
Mhm.
So we want to maximize that space as much as we can.
But you still have some money to play with there, though, is what Ben's saying, on option C, you can, I mean, if you can get a little bit bigger footprint for another $9,000,
I agree.
yeah.
One
Yeah.
request, hey, would there be an outdoor water fountain on C or D? The only thing I'm thinking is, I know when we go to these big events and my ladies have to use porta potties, they really want somewhere to wash their hands. And if you've only got 2 stations here, and they're gonna be busy and filled, at least with a water fountain, you can go kind of wash your hands in or something like that.
I believe we won't have any type of hand washing station, but we can get those event coordinators can have hand washing stations come in with their units. We will have a hose bib outside of this building to flood the ice rink, like a fire hydrant size hose bib. And I'm not sure about a drinking fountain. I thought drinking fountain was somewhere in the plan, but we'll have to look at that too.
Yeah, or even like a bottle filler,
Right.
Yeah, if we ever
We
do a
could-
drinking
Yeah.
fountain, it'll have to have a bottle filter because that's the #1 request whenever you put a drinking fountain in is
Yeah.
bottle filter. So
I think a drinking fountain's a great idea for that venue, when you get really thirsty and you're down there. But Ben, I always use the fountain to wash my hands down there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at, is I would have an outdoor fountain. You can pretend it's for a bottle filler. It's for washing the hands after going into those porta
we
potties.
have a really large one, Ben, right down there. It's got a nice concrete surface and
Or push a button and then go wash your hands. You got her.
I just want to know, I mean, Justin, in your opinion, in option A, I mean, is that even doable? I mean, can you get $100,000 more than what you budgeted? I just want to know that. If
I
you
don't-
tell me,
I don't think so.
okay. Yeah. I mean, that would be ideal, right?
And this is our first of many, many projects of like pickleball. We
Yeah.
have a budget for that. Now it's even under budget and we have to go out to bid, and that's another
Yep.
project where we might be begging for money and asking for money.
Yep, understood. Yeah. Well, I'm ready to entertain a motion here if anybody wants to make one, but I mean, to me, it's obvious.
Okay, are we doing a motion to send option C out for bid?
I think so. Yeah.
Out for design.
Oh, out for design.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I move to send option C out to design.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, any other questions or discussion about this?
yeah, I don't want to put words in Ben's mouth, but Ben, did you want to add in any language about reserving some of the rest of that budget for a bigger, bump out? I don't know if you wanted to amend the motion to include that or if we need to.
Natasha, you want to add that to it? Might as well see what you can get for the full 250K.
Yeah, we're just gonna, what I needed direction on is really the heated and unheated in the budget. We'll definitely maximize the entire space. So not only the storage area, but as well as the restroom area, and maximize you know, we want drinking fountains with some other things there too. So yeah, we want to maximize the overall budget and get as much as we can.
But what we're saying here, it's heated and 2 stalls.
That's what we want to hear. Yep.
I mean, I'd love to have 3 and I'd love to have 4, but I don't think it's realistic. We don't have the money.
No.
Okay,
Well, if that's clear in the motion, I'm good with that.
okay. Any other questions? Last time discussion. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table, so all in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed? And motion carries. Thanks. So that was our pressing item that we really wanted to meet for, and why we met via Zoom rather than delaying until next month. But we do have other items on the agenda to talk about the park audits. Justin, did we want to do we want to talk about park audits tonight?
Why don't we just kind of talk preliminary at a high level, and then maybe do a deeper dive in January when we're back in person, so it's a little more productive conversation. I think sometimes these Zoom conversations aren't always as productive as we want them to be. And it's a lot of information that we comprised over the year. So it all went out to you guys. You guys saw some rankings, some scales on which was high and what was low, as well as the comments that were made by the various people who did the evaluations. Overall, there's no really big surprises, but overall, I want to know what's the takeaways you guys have found from this exercise.
Well, I mean, I guess from my perspective, you know, the reason we did this was because we need to, we're hiring a consultant to redo our corp plan, right? Our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And we need that plan in place in case we need, you know, grants. We want to apply for grants, and we always have to have that actual master plan, the corp plan in place for that. But I think overall, what I saw, the thing that kind of sticks out to me in all the parks, and wherever there's courts, whenever there's concrete, and whenever there's asphalt, those things need to be repaired. And it feels like they're they're in disrepair in quite a few of the parks, especially the basketball courts. You know, and obviously the tennis courts they need some help too. But I mean, we do have a master plan for Graham Park. That's the kind of thing that jumps out at me. So I think those are things that we can address in the corp plan, something, you know, major like that. Anybody else?
The only thing that I noticed that's consistent is the picnic tables. That's it, besides what you said, John. The picnic tables are terrible in almost all the parks. Except
Yeah,
for
what-
Wildwood.
one consistency I saw is at the playgrounds, either the wood chips or having a big, you know, ledge at the edge of those playgrounds. You know, as we upgrade those, thinking about making those more compliant with rubber pellets and no bump out. So
I think some of the
see.
things, that some of the things that I noticed through here too are already being addressed, right? I mean, we talked about recycling containers, and I know that the department has purchased those and are ready to, you know, deploy those throughout. I think for the next season, right? We're talking, you know, recycling containers, and really overall more trash, you know, containers. I think are needed in many of the parks, but I think there's already a plan for that, and those are things that we can address even outside of the corp, right? So it's kind of nice that we can do that now.
Yeah, we'll be addressing kind of the recycling and refuse containers throughout our park system. We're going to primarily focus on our more, I don't want to say critical, but highly attended, like Wenzel, Wildwood, Hackman, those types of locations, and then slowly work our way out. Those units are almost $800 a pop, so it gets quite costly, and our budget really, some years we can afford a few more, some we can't. So it all depends on what everything else boils down to. So this year we were able to afford like 4 or 5. Next year, maybe more, maybe less. So it all depends.
Okay, understood. Any other comments? Ally?
The other thing I noticed, again, it just comes down to the user groups and the neighborhoods that they're in. But you know, it was successful when we got a porta pot over at the Forest Ridge Park. But all the other, you know, neighborhood playgrounds or those areas, you know, again, bathrooms, when they're not there, it's definitely noted.
I'd say the same over at Benedict here. I heard a lot of positive comments about the porta potties.
Did I not read that those were cut from the budget? Or no?
We just use the trees otherwise, John.
I thought I read.
Benedict,
Natasha.
the upper pond were cut from the budget.
Okay. All right,
We cut about $150,000 and that was one of the cuts.
other comments? Otherwise, we can dig into the numbers and take a look at it in January. But I'd ask the committee to, you know, go through it, and I know we just got the agenda, or we got the packet a few days ago. Go through, and if there's anything else that you'd like to include, we can include it next month. You know, take a look at the numbers. If you have questions, or if there's anything you'd like to point out, we'll do that in January. All right. Okay. Bear with me. I need Ben or Jane here to tell me where I'm at.
I
It should be
know.
under reports, yeah.
Ben,
Item
Ben,
7.
your vice chair,
Ben,
tell
Thanks.
John where he's at.
yeah.
I kick you under the table. Come on, John, let's keep moving.
Okay, so we're on the report section. So I know that Amanda couldn't make it. Justin, do we have anything for her? Should we go right on to events?
Yeah, a couple things. Wenzel, Vanderhay season passes came out last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Sales have been slow. It's amazing how much slower they are compared to last year, but they're going well. We have a renewal option, so if they renew their passes and they still have the physical card, they get 10% discount. Other than that, she's getting ready for summer, starting to prepare things. We're going out to RFP for concessions operations for the pool. Other than that, things have seemed to be going well.
Okay.
Did we get any comments on the price increase for the water passes? Has anyone commented that as
We haven't received any
hesitancy?
comments at all from anyone on
Okay.
any of the, none of the fees or programs.
There were comments on the Parks and Rec Facebook page.
I saw comments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily value a ton of the comments being on Facebook because I don't really know who they are, even if they are consumers or users of our area or our community. So it's always difficult to know who they are. But we, out of the passes that we've sold to people who have bought them or have approached us, we have not received any of those. But yes, Facebook does receive quite a few comments. You probably saw all the comments about the restaurant that's being proposed downtown. There's close to 200. So how do you even value or measure those? So I don't.
Inaccurate article would have helped there, but okay. We are on to any other questions about recreation before we go to item B? Okay, item B, events and programs.
Yep, so just to give you guys a holiday update, we did Small Business Saturday with Santa and Mrs. Claus in the plaza, along with partnering with Main Street Marshfield, just pushing business downtown for that Small Business Saturday. And I think that it was really successful. They did a great job doing a passport for adults and children, where the children could make 3 stops throughout downtown, and they had really great numbers for that. Even for the adults, had a separate passport. And so we saw probably around 75 kids for Santa during the day. And then we did a tree lighting at 5:30 with fire and s'mores. And that went really well. That's new for us. Normally in the last year or a couple of years, because of COVID, I've just done the tree lighting and posted it on Facebook, but we actually had around 25 people there. We all got around the tree. Kaylee assisted with a carol, and we lit the plaza tree up. So that went really well for, being a new event. So I was happy with that. We did have to move reindeer day to happen before the parade. And because of that, we moved it to Central to see how that would work. It went over well. We had a lot of attendees for that, but we obviously want to see it in the plaza. And we couldn't have it there because they book out so quickly, mostly around those time spots. And we wanted to make sure that we're utilizing other events that are going around just to help with foot traffic downtown. So I've already put in the request to have it at a Small Business Saturday next year with our reindeer farm. I've had questions of why we don't have reindeer in the plaza before the parade, and it really is a logistical thing. We have the parade being staged on 2nd Street, so there's just no way that we can add more to that area. We don't want people there that aren't part of the lineup. So that's why, if you have any questions of why we don't have it in the plaza the night of the parade, that's why. It's definitely a security and logistical issue. But hopefully next year it will be on Small Business Saturday. Otherwise, it went really well. It was a beautiful day. Ice skating rink, Ben's crew put that together a couple weeks ago. Now we're just waiting for Mother Nature to take, its hand in this. Some cooler temperatures are going to help before we fill that. So hopefully around Christmas or shortly thereafter, we'll have the ice skating rink up and usable. And let's see. No update on 2nd Street Development Committee. Just looking forward, something that we've done the last few years and want to keep growing is our Cabin Fever Month for February. Something else we partner with Main Street on and have when I was under a Main Street, Kaylee and I started this back in 2020 before the shutdown. It was really successful and we've only grown it the last couple of years. So we've added the luminary hikes, which we'll do again this next year. Those will be on Tuesdays, and hopefully every Tuesday in February. We still have yet to decide which parks we're going to utilize for that. The Cabin Fever Run, which actually Miss Allie is helping with that. And that will be on February 18th. And then following the run will be Cabin Fever Fest. So it's our intentions to hopefully have that in the plaza. Last year it was canceled because it was -40 degrees. But we will probably use the 2nd Street Community Center as a backup this year and have that planned. So we also have potentially a bike event on February 4th. So our push for February is definitely making sure that people get out of the house and enjoy Marshfield as much as possible. And so we keep adding events and hopefully it'll continue to grow. So is there any questions?
Questions for Nikki? Lots going on. Thanks, Nikki.
You're welcome.
We're on the Parks, Forestry and Zoo. Ben.
I don't have my notes in front of me, but we did have a little bit of snow so far, but it hasn't been too cold. Today was a very busy day with a lot of wet, icy rain, and tomorrow I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of tree and branch cleanup around town, and then plus with the snow removal. Nikki did mention that we put together the ice rink at Wenzel. Hopefully next week we can really start concentrating on ice rinks. Some of the highs are in the teens. It's kind of what we look for when we're dumping lots of water at one time. Get those lows down to negatives really help. So hopefully we can get ice rinks up and running. Usually takes about a week of that cold weather. So hopefully by the New Year's, our goal is always by Christmas break when the kids are off of school, but we're getting pretty close already. Down at the zoo, Sarah's been doing a great job. We've had the vet came for the cougars. They are older now. They're senior cats and they're dealing with arthritis. We changed their diets and their test came back very nice. Oh, thank you, Justin. So that was good news. If you follow the zoo's Facebook page, Sarah does a great job keeping that posted for everybody to know. We did have to euthanize one elk. I had an injury, a spinal injury this past month. It was an older elk. So that was one thing that we did have to do. So cemetery, is Amy on? I don't think she is she? There was 9 burials in November, 4 traditional, 4 cremation and niche. Again, they're doing their typical things that they do, getting ready for snow season. They had to mark some headstones like they typically do. So that's all I got, unless anybody else has anything.
Ben, I've got a quick question for you down to the zoo. With all the snow coming tonight and tomorrow, will the city staff do the sidewalks, like one pass at least before Winter Wonderland gets down there and traipses it all around?
Yeah, we salted today. I plan on doing snow removal tomorrow. So,
Okay.
yep,
Thanks.
yep.
Ben,
Any
I just have a
questions?
question.
Go ahead, Jane.
Okay, on Veterans Parkway, the path, the walking path right along Veterans Parkway, that's the Park and Rec responsibility to
Right.
remove that snow?
Yeah, we take it from basically Oak Street out to 29th Street.
Okay,
From 29th out to the newer Quick Trip on 10, that is county does that.
okay,
So we
that's
go
all
to
I wanted
mid-state,
to know.
mid-state truck there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Ben, I just have one thing, and so the asphalt trails out, the trail that connects Adler Road to Fifth Street at Weber Park. And then I noticed a few other spots on asphalt trails where there must have been a problem with the salt spreader or something, but there's like big piles of salt, like, well, not piles, but a lot of salt in the middle of the
Okay.
trails, you know?
Okay,
So I don't know what happened there, but it's really hard, like, especially if you're walking a dog. But and then I get concerned about that much salt too. So I just wanted to let you know.
no, I do have a new operator on our truck salter this year. That was Jeff Weinferner's route for 30 years. So it's
Yeah.
just a learning curve, but I will take a look, John. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, you bet. No problem. Anybody else? Okay. We are on to, yeah, Justin, Director.
All right, round barn windows are complete. We're waiting for one to have a sash installed. I got the final building from Woodstock today. Unfortunately, out of the 140,000, we can't spend all of it because it doesn't cost that much. So we may look at exploring some other options with the round barn. I did talk to the state about shifting those dollars to a potential restroom project that was looming. And they said, no, you can't do that. So unfortunately, I was going to use that for the Wenzel restrooms. We can't.
Nice try.
City budget process is finally done. We talked about this last month and some of the cuts that went forth. The zoo hours will be changing for Saturdays and Sundays. Will be closing at 11:30 starting January 1st. The EV electric vehicles charging stations that were put in by Wheelers and GM are all done. I think there's 6 in the city, and it was on Yahoo News as well as some other local news companies. So it's gotten some good publicity. So hopefully usage continues. I really have no update on Brain Park. Architecture, the company has been notified. They're asked to meet in January. So we're going to try to set up a meeting in January, do a kickoff meeting and start with the architectural and engineering drawings so we can get the things out to bid. We did tour a few facilities for the Junior Fair Expo or the Fair Expo building. We're looking at possibly building a large expo building at the fairgrounds to accommodate larger events. So we'll keep you up to speed on that. Jurassic Park, there's been no movement on that. And the Corp, the RFP for that is going out next week to the Board of Public Works. So we're hoping to solicit some proposals in January and get moving on that project as well. That's all I got.
Any questions for Justin?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, John, I do have one more bit of news. And I don't know if everyone heard, but Abby did have her baby last week on Wednesday. Wesley Todd Correct me, Nikki, you should know. 6 pounds, 9 ounces, 19 inches long.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Okay. I sometimes as a guy, I forget those things, but the funny thing is her and Cody contracted influenza A while they're in the hospital. So they came down with influenza A while they're up there or before they went up there, whatever. So they've been sick and down and out for a little bit and with a new baby. So I'm guessing there's not much sleep and it's sleep deprived in that house very much.
I guess. Okay, well, thanks for the info. So item F for Parks Rec Forestry Committee, I just want to mention, Natasha, there's 2 items that you brought up to put on the agenda that Justin is adding to the agenda for January. The one being no mow November, right? Or no, I'm sorry, no mow May. It's no shave November. Okay.
Yeah.
No shoveling November, let's call it that. And then the other one, I don't remember. Justin, what was the other one?
The text alerts that.
Oh, yeah,
Communications department is a part of.
Yeah, so we have those 2 things coming in January. Is there anybody else that has anything to add for agenda items? Okay. Well, cool. Our next meeting is 5:30 Wednesday, January 11th. Let us know if you can't make it. And with that, I appreciate everybody taking the time on it. Oh,
I just have one comment. Thank you so
Okay.
much, John, for helping me through my new laptop computer.
no problem, Jane. That's what I do, right?
I know you're
For those that
probably
don't
like-
know, I used to work with Jane, at the medical center, so I'm pretty used to it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If I wasn't calling him, like once a week, he was calling me, asking if everything is okay.
Yeah, right.
I haven't heard from you. Thanks
All
so
right.
much again.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion. Oh, I'll
Motion
second.
by Ben, second by Jane. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas,
Yes,
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
See
We
you in
are adjourned.
January.
See you guys in January.
Bye.
Thank you.